Well, thinking back on your time in school, do you remember the names of your teachers or any of your close friends from when you were in Pineville?
I had two teachers, and one name was Guinevere Bennett and Bernice Taylor.
Guinevere Bennett and Bernice Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
And what about some of you? Who were your best friends back then?
Ruby Bowman, Ollie Wilson. That was a long time
I know,
ago.
you're having to how many years ago was that? Let's see, would that have been like in the 1930s and 40s, somewhere around in
Somewhere
there?
around there.
Somewhere around in there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any strong memories, anything that just comes to mind when you think about Pineville School?
Oh yes, going early in the morning and they gave you breakfast and you smelled that oatmeal and carnation milk, pet milk, you know,
Yeah. The canned milk?
and canned milk,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was your breakfast, you know. And oh, in the cold mornings it was wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
What was your favorite subject?
English,
English. Me too. Me too. I love to read.
yeah, I love to read, and I write poetry.
Do you? What kind of poetry do you write?
Well, really, I write this when my husband was gone, you know, and so I would write for the base paper, you know, poems, you know.
You were published.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's something. Yeah. I think poetry is an underappreciated art form sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was easy for me to write. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, can we shift gears a little bit? Can I ask you about Sammy Nicely?
Oh, Sammy was just a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
We worked in Appalachia for many years, you know, doing programs at Rose Center.
Yes.
And that was an experience. Sammy was just special, a special person, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How do you
Talented.
remember? I'm sorry. Talented. Yes. Do you
Mhm.
remember when you first met him?
No, I don't. I really don't. Because I was away from here for a while. And see, when I come back, Sammy was of course, much younger than I was. And we just started doing programs at Rose Center, and he'd be away, and he'd have to call me to, you know, do different things. And we did some beautiful programs there.
Yeah. What kind? Will you tell me more about the programs? What kinds of things did you organize?
It was always most of the time in February. We had that month of February.
Yes.
And we do we do programs that involve the community. You know,
Yeah.
just all kinds of programs. That whole week of February,
Mm-hmm.
we would do different programs, you know. Sometimes we do dinners or, I can't think of the different programs we would have that whole month. We've had breakfasts, we'd honor somebody in the community and things like that.
Yeah. You brought in like artists, and
Yes.
I've read about some of the. I haven't ever experienced it, but
Yes,
I've read
since Sammy travel, he knew a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So when we had our program, he could bring in 3 or 4 people, you know, artists or, you know, to be at different times, you know, in that month.
Yeah. Did everybody just really enjoy working with him? Everybody always says that how much they loved working with him. He was just
Really
a great person
did,
to work
really
with.
did. And I'll say this, when we first started our programs at Rose Center during the African Appalachia, black people weren't going to Rose Center. They weren't attending things there. And I'm not saying that they felt comfortable with our programs, that we involved them in the community. The choirs, we worked with the churches, the choirs, and the community travel came with those choirs. See, and so it was a really good time for us, you know, to involve the community with Rose Center.
Yes.
You know, we really think that that was one of our things that we done that was just wonderful. We thought we involved the community, you know. We had the choirs, and we honored a person in the community, you know, and we involved the community
Yeah.
with our program.
Yeah, that is important. We try to do that as well. It can be tricky. It can be hard to get people to come in and feel
It
like
is.
how did you get people to get invested and involved? And
Well, one of the things you work with the churches, you know, and that's very important, you know, to work with the churches, you know, those organizations and those churches and the pastors, you know, and just involve them, you know, and ask them to come and help with a certain, you know, breakfast that we were having, honor somebody in the community, and that's just the way we.
Yeah, I'm learning from you. I'm taking notes and learning from you.
Oh.
This is good. This is great information. So, what would you say is one of the most important or significant things that you learned from Sammy in your time working together?
One is that he cared for this old church. This was his church. And he had a feeling for it. You know, you look around and you say, well, I don't see why they love this old church so much, you know. But the generations are here, you know, the different generations, you know, from the youngest to the oldest, you know, has a certain feeling for this old church. You know Sonia?
Yes.
Okay. Sonia was brought up in this old church, you know, and she never left it. She always had a feeling for it. All the different places she's been, all the different places she's worked, she never forgot. August the 1st, homecoming, a check. Come back, when she come back, she's here. You know, she could be in some of the biggest, she's extremely tall, and she could be in the biggest churches in Morristown, but this is her church.
Yeah. Can you talk more about when you say you have a feeling for it? Can you describe the feeling or tell more about what that means when you say that?
Well, one thing, I'm comfortable here. I'm comfortable. I know the people. As I said, as you look around, it's not that, you know. I'll have to tell you about when we walked out of here thinking that the Methodist Church was going to lock the doors.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Padlock the doors.
Yeah.
Well, and we didn't have restrooms. We just got restrooms when we did that room over there. Not that long ago, you know, and they would not help us in any. Oh, I'm sorry. They wouldn't help the little church, you know.
Yeah.
And they would send pastors that didn't want to be here, and we knew they didn't want to be here, and that's the feeling you got, you know. So, in the meantime, they wanted to close the doors of the church, you know. So we thought, well, maybe we better get a lawyer, but, you know, we couldn't afford no lawyer. We just had a handful of people. So we decided that we would have somebody come and preach for us, you know. And they wouldn't pay her. They didn't want her here, you know, because she wasn't of that faith. So they told us that they were going to, you know, they was going to get us out of this building, you know. And so we decided that we'd get a lawyer, have a lawyer to go talk to them, not to, you know, just talk to them and see if they would just give it to us.
Yes.
We had no bathrooms. We didn't have that room. We had this room right here. That's all we had. You know, so they took it. They kept saying they was going to take us to court, and they did. In the morning that we went out of here, and you see, it's several things in here now, but when we were going out the door, my husband, who was living there, said, the lawyer called last night and said, if there's anything you want, take it with you. because a judge rules against you, he'll padlock that door and you can't get back in. So, you know, we had our little circle here, prayer circle, and that just was a kick in the stomach, you know, to think that we'd never get to come back in this room. That's what it was. We were saving money for the bathroom and things over there. And when he said that, what did we have to get? That Bible, that big Bible, a wooden communion type thing, the old wooden communion thing, and a glass pitcher that we poured water in for the preacher from a spigot out in the yard because there's no running water, see. And that's what we took and put in the, that's what we had. We had nothing, you know. And we go to court the next morning, and our lawyers up front, and the United Methodist Church's lawyers over there, they're a big lawyer on that side of the courthouse, you know. And they had already, you know, they had already talked to us, come in quietly and take a seat and don't whisper, don't rattle papers. And so we sat quietly in the courtroom, and it began to fill up, and nobody would sit on that side where their lawyer was. And it filled up, all the seats filled up, and we sitting there looking, we didn't know what to do, you know. Our side filled up, and they began to line up around the wall. You know, nobody would go on that side and sit, you know. One of our neighbors, I was telling him about it the other day. I said, he's on occasion, Caucasian, and most of the people on this side, 3/4 of them were black, you know, they had come. And support us. And you know that when our lawyer time got to stand up, he said, "Oh my goodness!" He was sitting with his head. He was a good lawyer, you know. He's sitting with his head like this, and when he got up to say, you know, he looked and seen all these people. He said, "I said, oh, I can't believe this. Those people believe in prayer." He said, because I didn't have anything. But the judge, he came in and he read these papers, you know, that the lawyers had put, and he'd look, you know. But then he made his speech, and everybody understood his speech. You people, both sides, settled this thing. And before we could get back to Russellville, they had called and said they would sell it to us. But guess what it was? For every penny we'd saved for that bathroom, that we did fish fries, bean dinners, whatever, to raise money for that bathroom. That's what they charged us for this $8,000 for this church. And the woman who was serving us then, she said to my husband, "Have that check on the lawyer's doorstep in the morning when he gets up." So they took all of our money for the bathrooms, every penny of it. So we said, we'll start over. But we had a reporter from the Citizen Tribune, and he's passed now. And we made all kinds of front page. Citizen Tribune, I don't think we would have got this church if it hadn't been for his work. You know, he would give pictures. I need to send you a picture of Sammy. They took several pictures of Sammy, you know. They gave us the publicity to the community.
I've read several of those. They're very well written and very much in your favor. You can tell that the journalist was pulling for you. That's the only way we got this church was Citizen Tribune.
Yeah. And that reporter.
Yeah. And what was Sammy's role in all of that?
Oh, he was right there. Sammy knew a lot of people, you know. 3/4 of those people that was in there had come for Sammy. Because they knew what we were trying to do. But we got the church, and we started all over again to get our bathrooms, that room over there. And the reporter had told us to open a bank account. at a bank, and that they would put it in there, that the money would go to that that account, and a lot of people did help us. And then people in the community come and they call and say, do you need this? I got this, I'm gonna put it out there. Can you use this? They helped us in so many ways, They come and do things, for us to help us to get that bathroom.
Do you have any memory of a specific worship service or an event here that has special meaning for you?
Well, I tell you, the first Sunday in August is our homecoming, and people come. You should see the lines of people we feed.
How many people do you think you feed?
Oh, sometimes near 100.
That's why you need 3 cakes.
We have a lot. We have a lot of programs here. We feed a lot of people.
Yeah. What kind of programs do you still do programs now?
Well, right now we do. So before I got in this wheelchair and could move around, I did a Woman in the Bible session, and I did it on a Thursday, not on a Friday when women have to get ready for the weekend, but on Thursday. And I would have something like 40 women.
Oh, wow.
And I'd have a woman from each church, from churches, that got the others in, see, support their person that's going to speak.
Yes.
And some of the men would bring the women, and then the last one I had 5 men along with my 35 women.
Yeah.
So then we'd have a nice salad lunch, and I could fix we'd have all kinds of salads, they like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah.
But we're working on a grant, I guess with the Sacred.
Yes.
And I just got a check. They still let me fool with the money.
Well, why not?
They still let me, anytime now, I tell them, you can, I see that the bills are paid and all that, that's not fair. But I'll tell you about this check that I got, and it was from the generation, I'm trying to think back, but he's younger than I am. But the letter said, thank you for, I'm trying to think of exactly what the words of, but it's just a nice little concise letter, a note, that said that you're still working in, it was for the church, $100 check, and he sends it when he feels like it, and he doesn't live here. And he's of another generation, He said that you're still working for the people that made us who we are today. I thought that was just precious.
Yeah.
He hadn't been here in years, but people never forget this old church, It means, they'll come in and sit, and they could be sitting in a big fine church, But this church means something to them. And we push our youth into education, it's important, They can bring, I'm going to take my grade card or my paper to Sister Miss Linnie, and she's going to talk to me about it. Maybe she'll give me a little piece of money, We try to. Maybe Sonia could tell you about that. You see, but we do, we've got, see, Sonia's a doctor, and we have another 2 more that are doctors out of this little church.
Yeah.
And 2 in school now, one's studying law, and one has got a nice job out in California. They both called me for my birthday on September the 9th. So I thought that was precious.
Well, happy birthday. A little bit late.
Do you think they don't see Sonia working in this little church when she could be working in the biggest church in Morristown?
Yeah.
But this is her church.
Yeah.
And it's always been that way. No matter where went, what state she was in, she never forgot Bewley. When she come home, she started right off where she left off, you know.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I like that.
To me, that's beautiful.
It is. I agree. I think it is. I think it is. I guess I'm just curious what you feel about the work that the museum is doing with Sammy's art, with the collection that we've made. That he, it started because he gave us his collection, and then we told everybody we're so interested in Sammy's artwork and his perspective, being a Black Appalachian person and a professional artist, that we want to tell more stories like Sammy's. And so we've got the collection now is over 200 pieces from folks just donating things to us, either that Sammy made or that somebody with a similar story to Sammy made. And I think I would just wonder, as somebody who worked closely and knew and loved Sammy, what if you thought really broadly and dreamed big, like what do you hope that we could do with Sammy's artwork, with the resources we have, and growing the collection and the exhibitions? Like, what do you hope is passed on from Sammy to people who didn't get to know him in person, who only get to see him through his work now?
Well, I really feel sorry that they didn't get to know him personally. He would come through from a exhibit, and he would always bring you something. It wouldn't be expensive something. It would be a bowl that he picked up, and he always knew that I was going to have cakes. He'd bring somebody by, and they would, they say, as I said, I used to make cake. It was nothing for me to have 4 cakes sitting on my table. Now I do well to have 2, but anyway, he knew that I was going to have something baked, so he'd bring me a bowl or something, something that that he picked up in a side shop somewhere, not expensive things, but he was such a giving person, just giving, he gave to the community, he gave to this little church. Oh, did he give to it? And I don't mean financially, and he did do work like that, but other ways, encouragement, he encouraged us to fight for this. He said, it's yours, fight for it. I'm going to be right here to help you fight for it, and he did. He did a lot.
Do you miss him?
Oh. Every time I make his favorite cake.
Which one was his favorite?
A rum.
Rum, okay.
Yeah, that was his favorite. But I enjoyed working with him. We put on some really, really good programs, really good ones at Rose Center.
I wish I could have met him. I've just gotten to know him through hearing stories about him, and he just is. Everything I hear about him makes me think even more highly of him. Every person I talk to tells me something new that makes me feel more impressed with the way he lived his life and the things he did for the people around him.
He loved people.
Yeah.
He really, he encouraged me and a lot of things, and he encouraged anybody, and he didn't have a lot. He didn't want a lot, That was material things wasn't that important to him, So